If you ever looked at optics and thought, golly, I'd like to have some good set of glass, but don't really want to pay that premium price, Hawke Optics may be where you need to look at. You make some great optics at an affordable price. If you use the code BTE, you save 15%. I've been using Razor Broadheads now for a few years, and I've been super impressed with them. I shot deer with my compound with them. I shot deer with my trad bow with them. They're tough as nails, and they fly great and leave a great wound channel. Use code BTE for 20% off. Latitude Outdoors just came out with a new profile platform, version 2, Gen 2. It's the same thing you love from the profile platform, but better. Go check it out at latitudeoutdoors.com. Use code BTE to save 15% off. And finally, go check out ASIO gear if you need some new camo. They have something for everybody from early season to late season to accessories, gloves, hand warmers, face mask, everything you need. Go over to ASIOgear.com. Use code ECHO15 for 15% off. All my partners are in the description below. Go check them out. All right, let's get into the episode. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the show. We got a special guest today, Mr. Chris Unleash the Weist.
What's going on, man? I don't know what kind of special we're talking about, but I got my own opinion.
Oh yeah, I guess that's one way. There's a couple ways of looking at that statement. How's it been going, man? I met you at the PA show, the Great American Sports Show that we were both working the ASIO booth there.
I think it was the Mobile Hunter show.
It was?
Yeah, it was a Mobile Hunter show.
Yeah. Yep. That's right. Both were in Pennsylvania.
Yeah, yep. No, it's been going good, man. Just got finished up turkey season and trying to get that off the brain and get moving into deer now.
Yeah. Do you like on a scale of, I guess, like deer hunting versus turkey hunting? Do you like turkey hunting as much as deer hunting, or are you kind of it's the springtime, so I'm going to do this kind of thing?
Dude, I tell you what, the last couple turkey seasons, it's like in turkey season, it feels like I like turkey hunting more than deer hunting.
Yeah.
But it's like, I don't know if I'm just all in on whatever I'm doing at that time, but during turkey season, I don't even think about deer. And then when turkey season's over, I'm like, well, I guess I better start talking about deer hunting. And when deer season's here, I'm don't even think about turkey hunting. So
yeah,
so it's probably 50-50.
Yeah. I kind of came to the conclusion with turkeys because I've shot enough of them now to get a pretty good handle of like how I feel about them. And what I think it is like, I like the camaraderie of turkey season. I always am hunting with buddies and whatnot. And I don't have this like as much pressure. I don't put as much pressure on myself. Like I just enjoy being out in the woods. And sometimes with deer hunting, you get caught up in this like chasing a certain deer, and it puts a lot of pressure on you. Sometimes with turkeys, like no one really cares, you know, if it's a tom or whatever. It's a tom for most people. And I just know like after I pull the trigger on a turkey and it's over, there's a little bit of like an anticlimactic, like that was cool. I enjoyed that process, but I don't get that. Like you just pick the bird up and go home. Then for me, I don't like whenever you're looking at a big rack on a deer or something, it doesn't quite do it for me as much as far as after the shot, but I do enjoy turkey season though.
I think it probably depends on where you hunt turkeys at. Because, I mean, I haven't ventured very far west just yet to kill turkeys, but I have a lot of buddies that say the further you go west, they're almost dumb. It's, I mean, that's just what I hear from guys, but I mean, they're tough here, man. I love it because sometimes it takes me 4 or 5 days of fooling with a certain bird to get him killed. You know what I mean? You almost have to pattern like a deer and figure out his habits, where he roosts at, where he likes to go. And there's a lot of terrain here, so that could be tricky too.
Yeah, I mean, for me, this year especially, it was kind of the same because we had a big flood here right before turkey season. It moved birds around a bunch, and so like I never did kill a bird in Indiana. I killed one in Tennessee, but it was like a struggle for me this year turkey hunting. Just like you said, just like I had a pretty well pattern, and then we got this like 10 inches of rain, and it flooded everything out, and it just changed everything. And we only got 3 weekends here in Indiana, so unless
That's
you're
pretty
right
short season.
is a really short season, yeah. So unless you're, it's real important to do some preseason scouting, at least for me, unless you just get lucky and run into one in the morning.
Right.
But I didn't put as much effort as I probably should have this turkey season into getting one. But Huck mentioned the other day about wanting to go turkey hunting next year. So if he gets into it, my attitude will probably change a lot.
Yeah, you pop him up in a ground blind.
Yeah, he changes his mind about every hour though on what he wants to do. So.
He's that age.
Oh yeah, I don't know. I'm not in a too big a hurry to get him really hunting yet. He's only 5, so that's pretty young. I think it's more important for them just to go out in the woods and be out there than go hunting at the moment.
Right. Yep. Be a part of it.
Yeah, that's right. All right, let's talk about deer hunting. So tell people like Chris, like where you are located in the country and the terrain you like to hunt for deer.
Yeah, so I live in it's like south central Pennsylvania. It's all mountains and hills here. It pretty much carries the same everywhere else I go. A little bit of Maryland, Ohio, West Virginia. It's all pretty steep hills or mountains.
So, how long have you been hunting like that terrain though?
My whole life. Yeah.
Okay, so you grew up.
I actually bought my grandfather's house that I can literally hit my dad's house with a rock. So I didn't go very far.
Yeah.
I moved about 200 yards, so I've been here my entire life.
Oh, nice. Do you guys have any land over there?
Yeah, we have like a just under 200-acre farm. Got some beef cows and ducks, chickens, the whole deal.
Oh, nice. Is it okay? So it's 200 acres. Is it cut into the mountains then, or do you guys have some like? I mean, you got cows, I guess. So you got some pasture or something. But do you guys have some like? Do you do food plots and stuff in there?
It's kind of a funny situation. I don't even really hunt here at all on our farm. It's like my dad's always hunts here, and my fiance hunts here just because it's easy. I mean, you can walk from the house to any of the stands you want. We do some food plots and stuff, but our farm is cut off from the mountain by a township road. And even though the township road doesn't get very much traffic at all, it's like that determining nominator on killing deer because they almost don't want to cross it until it's dark.
Gotcha.
And we just got our farm timbered last year, so we don't really have the thick cover yet to keep them on this side. Now we have some does, a couple of doe groups stay here all the time, but as far as big bucks, I don't even really. I'll put some food plots in, help dad, whatever he wants to do. But this is dad's stuff here pretty much. I spend all my time on the public.
That is one thing about PA that I'm blessed here in Southern Indiana to have too, is like there is a plethora of public, and oftentimes it's where the big deer are anyway. Sometimes,
Yep. Yeah, there's like 20,000 acres here.
Yeah, that's a lot. So let's just go through your deer hunting strategy, not necessarily in season. Like what I guess from like January 1st after your guys' season was over till now, what have you been up to in the deer woods, or what do you what do you run as far as your trail cameras and your scouting and all that stuff in the mountains?
Mm-hmm. Well, every year I think my strategy changes just a little bit. You're always making minor tweaks and adjustments and stuff. I'm always trying to find the biggest deer that I can to hunt, even though you might not always harvest that deer, but you're trying to put yourself in that bubble. As far as like January 1st this year, I already had some deer in mind that I knew made it. And I was just trying to put in strategy of where I was going to start setting up on those deer this coming season. I got a lot of my stuff done already, man. I've been out like January, February, March. I pretty much have all my cameras out, like where they need to be, where they need to soak, like for the rest of the year. Um, I mean, that's here, Ohio, Maryland, West Virginia. Like they're all up, they're all running. Um, and I'm planning on going out probably middle of July, late July to make my first round of card pulls, just to check on batteries and maybe catch something that looks like it's going to be a big deer velvet. Really, my strategy is I take the historical information I had from the year before and I apply that for the next coming season. I put my cameras up and let them soak in spots where I made adjustments from the last season to this year. Maybe I've seen something that I missed the previous postseason, and I'd take that information, roll it into this season, and then I'll go start checking those cameras here July, August, try to find as many mature bucks as I can, and then I start to put my focus on those areas that I'm actually getting the top, maybe like I might pick like the top 5, 6, 7 bucks, and then those are the 5, 6, 7 spots that I want to focus on. And usually out of those, 5, 6, 7, 1 or 2 or 3 will stay in that spot all year round. So it gives me a good starting point anyhow for the season.
Yeah. Is there a certain like area in the mountains that you seem to find the big deer that are as consistent for you?
Clear cuts is a big part of it. They do a lot of cuts in Pennsylvania, and I think understanding clear cuts as far as age, the different ages of cuts, and how the deer use those, and I try to line everything up with food sources. I mean, there's so many oaks here that's really hard to find a feed tree. I mean, there's just chestnut oaks, red oaks, white oaks everywhere. I don't know that I've ever killed a deer under a feed tree in PA. I've done it in Maryland, but because the season comes in so early down there, sometimes you can catch that first oak tree dropping. As far as here, I try to line things up with like long lining ag. A lot of times these deer will travel a long way to get to an ag field off the mountain. So a lot of times you can kind of follow that back into the mountain ways. I think they'll travel. I mean, it's nothing for a deer to go 1.5 miles, 2 miles if he wants to. Because there's spots up here in this mountain where I'll get a picture of a buck, 3 miles away, and then 2 days later he's 3 miles the other direction on another camera, which isn't unreasonable. I mean, me and you can walk a mile easy in 20 minutes.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, when you put in perspective, like it sounds like a long way, like for us to go eat something, to walk somewhere that far, but like it really is not for an animal, especially, You think the reason that they travel so far in those mountains is just because of food, or do you guys have the PA pressure, or what do you think the reasonings are? And while you say that, Chris, I'm gonna go let my stupid dog out because he's barking. Just go ahead.
You're good. You're good. Yeah.
Keep going.
I really don't know that there's an overabundance of pressure in bow season per se on the public until you get into that like November 1 into like gun season. I feel like is when it's the worst. I really like that early October, mid-October. I mean, you're not seeing very many deer, but I feel like if you're going to kill a big one, that's a really good time to kill it just because there's not near as many people in the woods.
Yeah. That seems to be like a common thing throughout the entire country. I mean, most times if someone's going to go travel hunt, not that there's like a lot of people. I mean, PA is getting a little more popular, but not everybody goes to PA to whitetail hunt every year. It's just
and I don't blame them. You know what I mean? If you're taking vacation to go hunt, I would probably want to go when I have the highest odds of seeing deer moving and when the weather's going to be a little bit colder. So I don't blame them, but at the same time, if you can keep track of a big one, it's a good time to catch him on some sort of pattern before he starts to really put the miles on.
Yeah. Do you guys? I mean, you guys are probably just typically like any other place in the Midwest, I guess. You got corn and soybean fields, is what you're talking about when you say ag.
Yeah, it's patchy. I feel like a lot of the farming is kind of starting to dwindle down, and the ag and stuff that we do see here, a lot of it is from like these big farmers that lease the ground just for the ag. And so that's what my dad does here now. He kind of like he just gave up the big picture with farming, and we still have 10, 12 head of cattle, and it's like his project farm now. And then he leases our just ag rights to a big farmer. But what I've noticed is like last year we had beans here. I seen like 4 deer eating these beans all summer, which is kind of crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if it's because they get so big or if it's maybe because they plant the rows so tight or what it is. But for sure, when they plant corn so tight that the deer like don't even go inside of it.
Mm-hmm.
Like the outside edges is where they're getting their crop damage. The deer aren't even on the insides. So I don't know. It's real patchy, and I think that the farmers that are planting are planting in a way that the deer aren't messing with it near as much.
Yeah. Well, I know like beans and corn too. Like they've developed seed that is able to grow and thrive in tighter environments. Beans get taller now than
Yeah,
they used to. Um, I mean, a bean field, a tangled mess whenever it's fully grown. You can't really walk through it. No, deer.
yeah. I just remember as a kid when we planted corn, our rows were so much wider, our stalks were planted so much further apart. But when it
Mhm.
was like that, then you did have a lot of deer damage on the insides, of the field, and especially bear, man. Bears are terrible, and they
Yeah.
lay them great big circles in the middle of the cornfield and stuff. Um, and then the deer would lay in the corn a lot when the rows were spread out like that. You know what I mean? But we don't see the deer laying in the corn anymore. Which
Hmm.
I mean, if you're hunting public up next to private like that, it makes it nice because all the deer aren't laying in the corn on the
Right.
private. You know what I mean? They're still probably traveling back and forth to hit that outside edge. But yeah, I think a lot of what I was getting to with saying that I think farming is going away a little bit is it's patchy with beans and corn, but a lot of what you see is just hay fields. It's just pasture.
Mm,
You got clover mixed in and stuff. I wish I could find a nice hot alfalfa field close to public somewhere. That'd be pretty ideal.
yeah. Right.
You don't see alfalfa very
We don't.
often here.
We don't either. Would you prefer like corn or beans whenever you're like looking for a field in early season to hunt over in PA? Not hunt over, but catch these deer coming off the public
Right.
a mile away.
Yeah. I would probably say corn just because our season comes in like October 1 through 5. So
Mm-hmm.
I mean they'd have to be really late planted beans for them to be any good, or it'd have to be a really shaded corner for them to still be green at that point.
I'm the same way here. I'd love cornfields
Yep.
compared to beans
Yep.
around here. Now, if I would change my tune if my season opened September 15th, or September 1st, but um, yeah. What about how many cameras are you do you run, and like can you describe some of the areas you like to put them in the mountains there?
I run a lot of cameras, and I'm starting to get to the point where I think I'm going to start getting rid of some of them because I'm to the point now where I've run so many for like 4 or 5 years. I'm getting tired of going back to get them later.
Yeah,
I think I'm probably up to like about 90 between
yeah.
a couple states. Yeah, which I mean the batteries aren't as bad as what people probably think. I just run regular Amazons, and I have really good luck with those. I mean, I can get a full season out of an SD card with Amazons, but it's just the fact of like when season's done, it's like, ah, shit. I was like, I got to go back and get those
It's a
things.
daunting task.
Yeah, yeah. Like some of the scouting I've been doing lately, I'm like, I'm not even taking a camera with me. I'm just taking my backpack, and I'm not even gonna mark anything unless it's like just this stupid good spot.
Yeah,
But
man.
I'd
The
say I
more
probably go
go
ahead.
ahead. No, no, go ahead.
I probably run 90% of my cameras on scrapes. I mean, I just feel like in the mountains, that's the best way to get inventory. And the only time I really change that is if I have a little bit of history with a spot or maybe a notion. Maybe I'm looking for a tight rut funnel or something. I'll put some cameras up on little rut funnels. And if I'm looking for a big deer, I'll put some cameras up and just on some trails coming in out of cover. If I'm looking, for a specific deer, I'll say. If I'm really trying to cast a net and figure out what he's doing.
Have you messed with mock scrapes at all in the mountains there?
Yeah. I mean, I don't typically like to do it. I'm really big on just finding natural scrapes because I feel like they're already there for a reason. To make a really good mock scrape, I mean, you just have to have it in the perfect spot, or you're just going to get, anomaly pictures of a doe or whatever coming in and checking it out. Sometimes you get lucky and you got a buck that just happens to be using that spot, but I feel like, I mean, it's all location based, even for the deer. I mean, that scrape's already there for a reason. He put it there because he probably has his advantage there, probably a lot of air dropping in there, thermals, wind, whatever he needs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've been messing with mock scrapes for a couple years now, and I've kind of come to the conclusion like, if there needs to be a scrape there, there's probably one there, right? Like they'll figure out a way of making one if they want to communicate with their other deer right there. And then it seems like more times than not, if there's not a scrape there, they're not there, because there's not does there,
right?
There's no food, whatever the case may be.
Yeah,
I've messed around a little bit with we call it freshening a scrape up, just to get good pictures and stuff, but it's not necessary all the time,
Yeah, and I'd say the only other factor to that is sometimes there just isn't a branch available. Like there might have been a scrape there if there was a licking branch that would have been ideal for them. Sometimes I run into those. It's not that often, but sometimes I'll run into a spot and I'm like, I just can't figure out why there isn't a scrape there. And you start looking around, and it's like, well, there really wasn't even a branch for them to make one. So sometimes I'll make one in a scenario like that.
Yeah. Which I guess that's a mock scrape. That's kind of that Troy Pottinger method where you're trying to find a good location where they don't have one.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. Those trends in the hunting world just kind of come and go. It seems like everybody jumps on board with something, everybody does it, and then it just fades away. I don't know if it quits working or whatever the case may be.
No, I agree. Yeah. I mean, it just comes down to spending time in the woods. I mean, I've heard, just like you have, I've heard a million different tactics from people that do stuff that they say works in their area. And I've tried a million things that other people have said. And I'm just like, this would never, or it never work, or it doesn't work, or, for like, I feel like it's been really popular, like the last 3 years of everybody just like throwing out what they think is the right way to do things. And I think the last 2 years I've had probably my not my best season at home. So I'm like, man, I should probably stop trying all this new stuff and go back to what I was doing before.
Get off of the internet. Just go deer hunting.
How about it? Yeah.
I know, man. I often think about when I was in high school, because I was looking through old pictures the other day for something and just saw some deer from high school, and like how clueless I was back then about just what was going on in the deer hunting world, but like still killed deer. I mean, it was just mostly just because of a sure will of just having the time to go every day and not, just be out in the woods all the time. But now, dude, you got so much information that you have to filter through. You don't have to, but we all do filter through and contemplate. And then, in the end, we overcomplicate it, and it hurts. It hurts most people.
Yeah, it's almost crazy to read the things that's available online now, and then think back to like, man, I didn't even pay attention to the wind when I used to hunt as a teenager, and I still killed deer. Like I just went in And I'm like, oh man, there's some deer sign here, and I sat up and killed deer. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And I was just talking. I was at the TAC event here in Seven Springs over
Yeah.
the weekend. And I was talking to some of the guys. And I told oh, who was I talking to? Ryan Glitzy. I was talking to him, and I said, dude, I could take you to a spot and show you the tree I was sitting in, and you probably thought I was just the biggest idiot. And I said, but I killed 3 deer that were 120 out of that same tree, and you could see 500 yards in every direction. Like
Jeez.
it's just wide open, big timber. Like, and it would just all come down to a little terrain feature. You know what I mean? It's just a gradual hillside with one little tiny knoll on it. I sit on the knoll, and when the deer come across, it either split left or right there, and that was just all there was. But you could see him coming from 300 yards. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but that spot doesn't like fit the mold of what you're supposed to hunt, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
That's funny. Yeah, I was on Dan Infall's show the other day, and we were going over like some of my deer I've killed over the years, just pictures of them and telling stories about them. And like it just hit me like he had me send 4 or 5 pictures of deer I killed, and like not a single one of them I killed. I even at the time had trail cameras, or I didn't. You know, they were no factor in the hunt at all. And a lot of times we worry so much about trail cameras now in the deer world, which they are a great tool, but I think they're sometimes overhyped or over thought about. And I've grown to be just like
Yeah.
you do a lot is just kind of let them work, let them soak, and not worry about them during season per se, and work off of what your knowledge is from last year and the deer you know are around already.
Yeah, I'm on like a 50-50 split with cameras right now. Like I'm getting to the point where I'm like, I know I don't need them to kill a
Yeah.
deer because I can read the sign good enough. And especially since I've been hunting around this area my whole life, I could probably never run another camera and I would still kill one of the better deer here, if I really wanted to. But at the same time, I do love running them. Like
Yeah, it's
I
super
just
fun.
I love the pictures, and I love just like I almost love to confirm my own notion is almost what it is. It's like, man, I bet you that deer's doing this, this, and this. I put the camera up, I check it, I'm like, I knew it.
There he
You know what I
is.
mean?
Yeah.
I love
Yeah.
that part of it, but it's like, yeah, they can really mess with your head.
Well, and it's like this factor too of there's kind of a good feeling whenever you have a camera out and you're flipping through the pictures, and then all of a sudden, like boom, there's a deer that is like kind of blows your mind on the camera. You know,
Yep.
that's a cool feeling as well. Like it's a cool feeling to not know what's in there and what could be, walking down the trail next, but also it's a cool feeling to know there's a giant in here too.
Yep. Yep.
I don't run quite as many regular SD card cameras as you, but I still have quite a few of them. And the whole cell camera thing is like something I always contemplate on what is the right way, not the right way for me of hunting and doing things, how useful they are. How many cell cameras do you run? I know all 90 cameras are probably all cell cameras.
I think I have around 11. I think 11 of them are cells. I do get tired of paying for them, even though like it's not. I mean, that's probably like $100 worth if I'm just off the top of my head. But still, it's like, man, that's $100 a month I'm paying to get these pictures. So what I'm thinking about doing is if I do want to run a cell just for some like real time intel, I'm thinking about selling the ones that I have. I usually run stealth cams. I got really good luck with those. I got some mole trees and stuff. But like Wild Game Innovations makes a cell that you get like the first 100 pictures free. So what I've been doing is I got like 3 of those. I put those out, and it's almost just like a teaser. Like I let it send me the 100 pictures. It has an SD card, so when the 100 pictures is up, it just puts them on the SD. And then whenever it renews, I get a little teaser again. I thought about just running them like that.
Yeah, you could be free then. Spy Point has the same deal.
Yeah, I just never had any luck with Spy Point. That's just me personally. I have other buddies that love them.
Yeah, I think it depends on which one you get. I think some of the older ones
Mhm.
especially had a lot of problems, but
Yeah.
they were kind of the first company that produced that like cheap cell camera too, you know. And I think they
Mhm.
kind of maybe missed the mark a little bit on them first couple, trying to be first to the market, which they were. But boy, some of them first ones were rough running. They didn't work very good.
Yeah.
I have a couple now that work. I mean, to be honest with you, I'm being honest. I didn't have any problems with either. I had two of them, and I didn't have a single problem this year with either one of them. I can't say that about some other companies. So I don't know. But in my mind, I had like, oh, these are going to be a waste of my time to put these out. But they worked.
You talking about the new spy points?
Yeah, like the Flex M or something like that.
Yeah, the Flex. Yeah, that's the ones my buddies use.
Yeah, they were fine. I can't. Like I said, I kind of had in my mind that I'd have all these problems with them, and they didn't. So
Yeah.
yeah. What about the trad bow? You going to break the trad bow out this year? I saw you were selling one of them. So
Yeah. I was shooting this morning. I shot a bunch this morning before I hopped on here. Yeah, I picked up another one. I had some cheaper bows, and I had what I brought that old Mountain Mesa to that
yeah.
the mobile show that we were at together.
Mm-hmm.
So I sold that bow, and I sold two other ones that I had, and then I bought an Omega Royal Huntsman. I
Oh,
actually
nice.
bought it off. Yeah, I bought it off Dalton Lewis actually.
Oh, so
Um,
that thing must be worth a little
it's
bit more than he had it.
yeah, yeah. He sent me pictures of it sitting on top of deer. And I'm like, well, at least I know it kills.
Yeah. I think
But
his hands.
my issue was my draw's just so long that I
Yeah.
was shooting a 60-inch bow all the time. It stacked real hard. That lasts like 2 inches, and I just needed something longer. So this Royal Huntsman's a 64. It
Yeah.
shoots pretty good. Kind of wish it was a little bit lighter. I feel like I hold really long, so I'd like to have something right around that like 46, 47 mark. This one's like low 50s. Sounds dumb, but it makes a difference when you shoot enough.
Just get your muscles a little bigger, like mine. You know.
How about it? Yeah.
I don't hold my trad bow very long though. I shoot pretty fast.
Man,
But
I've
I
shot
like
for
52 pounds. That's what I like my trad bows to shoot.
yeah. This one's 51.
Yeah.
I just I don't know, I shoot fine. I kill deer, but 100% I'm a backyard hero. Like I
Yeah.
shoot really good at my house and I kill a deer, but if I go over to one of my buddies' houses, I shoot awful and I hate it. I'm like I'm just gonna stay at home so my confidence stays where it's at.
That's funny. Well, it might be something to that.
Yeah.
I have a buddy that's trad bow hunter. He's been a trad bow hunter his whole life. He never switched to. I mean, he's close to 60. Never has shot a compound. But we went to the Push guys. You know who they are, right?
Mm.
They had a little event in Ohio where had an Airbnb they rented, and they had like a 3D course out back. It was during turkey season. People turkey hunted, and my buddy went with me out there to shoot with them. And he's probably killed all those guys that were there combined. He's probably killed more animals, with his trad bow. And he never did pick up his bow and shoot with anybody whenever they were there, because he's not a target archer,
Right.
But it was pretty interesting to, like, I don't know, just for him, like, there's no way he could have kept up with any of those guys shooting. But I guarantee if there was a live animal out there, he would be the one that I would choose to get an arrow through it, without
Yeah.
question.
So, that was it was like in Wilmington, Ohio, I think.
Yeah,
I think I had a buddy that went to that too.
Oh, really?
Joel Turner was there, and Matt Zernzak. And
yeah, that Joel wasn't there.
Maybe it was a different one. Okay, yeah.
It was just during turkey season. Everybody would go turkey hunting in the morning and then hang out during the day, shoot bows. And of course, Tom was there, so he was giving people lessons and things like that. There was some other I'm not into the competition world, but there were some other guys that were, supposed real good competition shooters that were there, which I'm sure they were. I
Yeah.
just didn't, I don't recall, but I didn't recognize their names or anything.
Mhm.
But so it was fun. When did you pick up the trad bow? When did you start hunting with it?
Man, I think I shot my first one when I was like high teens.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's probably been 10, 11 years, just on and off. You know what I mean? I've been more serious about hunting with it. Probably the last 3 or 4, but yeah, I shot my first one probably about 10 years ago.
What made you get into it? Because like I always tell the story, my journey on traditional goes back a little farther than that, but not much. And
Mhm.
mine was Fred Eichler. Like I can pinpoint that guy was the reason I started shooting a traditional bow.
Mhm. Yeah.
I'm always curious because I didn't have a traditional bow in our like bow shops and stuff around where I lived at. There wasn't like I didn't even hardly know it existed. It was like a fairy tale
Mhm.
thing or an old timer thing. And but until I started seeing Fred
I
Eichler.
uh I don't know if I can remember exactly what flipped the switch. I'm sure I've probably seen something like a magazine or it was on TV, and I remember like mentioning it to my dad, and my dad actually bought me one for Christmas. So
Oh, nice.
as soon as I got one and I started shooting it, then it was like downhill from there. And I'm like, oh, I'm gonna kill all these deer with this thing until I figured out how hard it was.
Yeah, it's
Trust me,
super hard.
my first like 3 or 4 deer I shot were not 10 ringers. I'll tell you that. Yeah, there was a little bit of luck involved with those ones.
Yeah. The first deer I shot, I could probably find a picture of it, but with one, I hit him pretty well mid body. Like it was not a great shot. I quartered away or quartered to me a little bit mid body. But dude, I don't know how I hit that thing. Like I hadn't had the bow very long really. And it's just an 8-pointer. And yeah, I can still see the arrow flying through, and he ducked into it. Like I probably was going to shoot underneath him. He ducked into it, and I hit him right in the middle of the body. Good up and down, but right in the middle of the body. And I was like, "Holy cow!" I hit him. Like I was so shocked.
Yeah, I've made some interesting shots the first couple. I remember, dude, I pinwheeled this doe at 15 yards, like right through the hams. I don't even know how I killed her. She ran out in the middle of the field and just flopped over dead. I'm like, I guess, all right.
I think there's a pretty vital artery back there that if you hit.
Yeah, I would say I hit her through the artery.
Yeah. No, I've been there, man. I've been there. I've told the story before. Very first, I shot a deer when I was 11 with a bow. It was bad. Like I like unloaded the quiver on her, and then had to get down out of my tree stand and go get another arrow to finish her off. But I got her.
Yeah, my dad got me a bow when I was 12, but for real, I didn't even touch a deer. Didn't kill a deer until I was 16.
Yeah.
I can't even tell you how many deer I shot over, shot under. It wasn't even a mile close to. Like, and the first one that I actually killed, I did smoke it, but it was 10 yards.
Yeah.
And I was like eye level with it on a bank.
Yeah. I've told this story before,
Yeah.
but dude, mine was sure like luck. So I hunted a bow and arrow. My cousin was taking me. My dad hunted too, but he was, he was working or whatever. He'd take me as well. But I was 11. My cousin had me over the weekend. I stayed at his house and was going to deer hunt with him at some of his spots. And I get there at his house, and he looks at my bow, and it's an old high country, just a 45-pound bow. And he looks at my arrows, and my dad had me shooting what's called a punch cutter, expandable broadhead. And my cousin had never seen a mechanical broadhead before. And so he was like, something's wrong with these. There's like field points. I'm like, no, I think they're supposed to be like that. He's like, I don't think so. and he started cutting there's like a band that goes around the blades to hold them in, and he cut all my bands off of my broadheads because he thought they were supposed to be like deployed already. So for one, I was shooting a deployed broadhead at these deer. And you got to remember, I was 11. Like I did, I'm like, okay, cut them off.
Right.
And the first morning we hunted, we went the night before and we set up our climbers, and he's like, here's your climber. We put it in the tree. He goes, you walk around this corner and you go in the woods right here, and it's right here. I'm like, I got it. He's like, I'm going to be right across the field from you if you need anything. I said, all right. So the next morning we get there, it's dark in the morning, and he splits off to the right and goes across the field to his climber. And I go into the woods, and dude, I can't find this tree stand. And I just walked around the woods until it got dark, light, and still couldn't find it. Finally, I just walked across the field to my cousin. I'm like, I'll never forget like him watching me. Well, like I could see him from the field in this tree. He just was like watching me, like staring at me, like, what the heck is this kid doing? And I walk all the way up to him, and he's like, what's the matter? And I'm like, I can't find my tree stand. And I'm like a fat 11-year-old kid, And he's like, all right. So he gets down. He like walks over and walks me to the stand. I'm like, all right, got it. And we hunt the rest of the day. I didn't get one. Next morning we go out, and I go to the same stand. We walk there. He splits off, goes across the field. I see his light go across the field. I go in and I find my tree stand. And I climb up. And like as soon as it got daylight, this little fawn doe came in, and I hit her in the back hams. I missed her, and then I hit her with a second arrow on the backhand. Shot at her again from the stand, missed her again, and then that's when I had to get down and find my arrow, and I finished her off. But this happened real quick, like the first 10 minutes of daylight. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, heck yeah, I'm all fired up. I didn't care if I was just killing deer at the time, and so here I go. I go out to the field, walk across, and I'm walking my cousin, and he's like, I can see him like almost his eyes are mad. He's like, what the frick is he doing now? And I get to his thing. He's like, what? And I'm like, I got one. He goes, you did? And I was like, yeah, I got one. He's like, all right. And he was happy then, but that was my first.
It's like this kid's molesting my hunt.
No, dude. Oh, it was horrible too. I mean, I was 11-year-old, pretty young, and those summit climbers is what we had. They weighed like 30 pounds, and to me it seemed like a far walk. I don't know if it was or not, but we got about halfway to the where we were putting the stands up that first evening, and you had to cross the creek. Of course, it was over my boots because I had just little boots on, So he had to carry me and the climber across the creek. And then I kept walking, and I got tired, I guess. And I just remember we strapped both the climbers onto his back, and he was carrying them for me. And, I mean, I don't think either one of us would trade it for anything now, but at the time it was a lot of work trying to get an 11-year-old to kill himself with a bow, But got me hooked.
Guaranteed.
Yeah. So whenever I have Hawke in the woods and getting impatient with him, I try to remember, like, I was once him, everybody's catering to me. You got any hunts this year planned?
Yeah, I mean, I'll be here, and I bought a West Virginia tag for turkey season, so I guess I'm gonna do a little bit of bow hunting in West Virginia, maybe a rifle hunt. It's not real far from me. I've never hunted there before though, so I was just down there Sunday and did some scouting, and I got some cameras out in Maryland and then Ohio. We'll probably try to make a trip down to Ohio here middle of this month.
Yeah. Do you ever get out west farther? You ever put in for Kansas or any place like that?
Nope. I don't know, man. I need to. I haven't had the itch. I've never put in Kansas, Iowa, nothing. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, and if I went, I would fall in love with it. But haven't really been interested in the flat ground game, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, that's all right. I mean, there's a lot of opportunity out where you're at too. I mean, you hunt quite a few states every year, compared to most people.
Yeah.
hunt a few states.
Yeah, it's nice. Like right here where I'm at, there's kind of like a triangle. I can be in Maryland, West Virginia, or Virginia in under an hour.
Yeah, that's super nice.
Yeah. I mean, you're not hunting mega giants or nothing, but I got a lot of opportunity right here for, just good hunting.
Just to be hunting is, I mean, you having tags,
Yeah. Yeah.
that's always a good thing.
Yeah.
Is it all the
Yeah.
terrain you
Ohio
hunt?
is where I go to.
Your big buck
What's
state?
that?
Your big buck state is Ohio kind of thing, like your.
Yeah. Yeah. And then me and I have a really good buddy here. We're starting to plan stuff for an Illinois trip next year.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, that'll be my first time out.
Illinois would be good. That's, obviously that's a good state. Used to be even better, but still a good state to both do. Of course, everything's expensive. Tag is kind of expensive, but what's new?
Well, holy heck! Look at Ohio now.
I know.
I mean, Illinois is like the same price as Ohio now. It's like $400 for Ohio.
Yep.
Crazy. Don't even get me started on that rant.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, hunters do it to themselves a little bit with the price thing. We saw a bunch of increase in prices last year or this coming year, I guess, for tags across the country, whether it be Wisconsin, Ohio, a bunch of them kind of raised it quite a bit, and Indiana raised theirs last year. But we also complain that there's too many people hunting. So, well, the state only has so much it can do, and one of the things it can do is try to raise prices so people, less people buy it, but buy tags. Excuse me.
Yeah, it'll weed out some people, but
yeah,
your serious guys are still going to buy the tag.
I don't think it's going to weed out that many people, but I know how government works, and they probably thought that would fix things, or at least they'd get more money out of it. Yeah, that's kind of a weird thing because you always hear of a shortage in the DNR, like as far as employees or conservation officers. At least here in Indiana, we don't have enough conservation officers, and it's like, I don't know where are all the resources going. I don't see them doing a bunch of habitat work over God's creation. So maybe they
I completely agree. That's the same way in Ohio. I've been there 5 years, and I have never seen no DNR, not one ever.
Yeah,
and they don't do any. There's no cuts where I'm at. They don't do any timbering.
Yeah,
it's all giant, big hardwoods.
They do a decent amount of burning around here, but okay, how much does that cost them? I don't. You're not bringing in a bunch of equipment, to log or clear cut like you were saying. So burning, I mean, it's good for it for sure, but I don't know. So it's something I've been thinking about a lot. I've actually got a contact for someone in the DNR, like higher up, to maybe have them on to talk to them about structure and where most of the funds go. So that'd be interesting, I guess. I'm a little bit worried about what can they actually tell me, or what will they actually tell me,
Right. Yeah, it's a funny thing, man. I'm not going to get into politics or government, nothing like that, but there's just a lot of things that we don't know that they will never tell us until, it happens.
Right. What's the pressure been like in your area the last couple of years? Have you seen an increase, or has it been kind of steady as it always has been?
I don't know that I've noticed the bow pressure higher.
Yeah,
I think that also has to do with we're not really known for giant deer.
Right.
I mean, there are good deer, but I promise it takes a lot of miles. And I'm just fortunate that I work second shift, so if I want to be out literally every single morning, no matter what, I can be. So I have that time to stumble into areas. But for a guy to just come out here and say he's going to find a giant here, it don't plan on it being the first year for sure.
Yeah.
The gun season's always pretty bad here, I feel.
Yeah.
I get sick of seeing 20-man drives and gun season. Makes me sick.
Yeah. Oh, that's no different than a lot of states that their gun season, like Michigan and Wisconsin,
Yeah.
gun is a different animal. And in places like that in
Yeah. And don't
Pennsylvania.
get me wrong, I completely understand the tradition because we used to drive all the time.
Oh yeah.
But we quit driving 5, 6 years ago because of the decline in deer numbers. Like, I just don't think we can afford to keep shooting a bunch of deer, in
Yeah.
my opinion. I mean, I'm in the woods a ton. I mean, there are deer. There's deer. Don't get me wrong, but it's like definitely not an overabundance amount for sure.
Why is that in your area? Is it you guys have something come through like EHD, or is it just the pressure, you think? Gun pressure.
No, I mean, like I said, I spend a ton of time in the woods. I don't really find dead deer
Yeah.
at all unless, there's an anomaly. You might find one that somebody shot, you know what I mean? If I find dead deer, it's like postseason, like right after
Yeah.
gun season and late season. Um,
Yeah.
but they give out so many doe tags here.
Mhm.
It's crazy. Like, and I understand they can't micromanage it by like certain areas. They manage it by like counties basically, and they'll say, well, we're going to give out this many tags, but some places like here in this county where I'm at, there's no does that people should be shooting, but you
Yeah.
might go 10 miles, 20 miles, and there's what somebody would say there's too many deer. It's very, very pocketed, you know what I mean? And I hate seeing people coming and driving like right beside my house. It's like
Yeah.
we don't have the deer to spare, and it drives me nuts when people think that like a doe running at 70 yards full tilt is the last doe they're ever going to see, and they just start whamming 5, 6 shots at it. Because I bet you like 1/3 of the deer that get shot at during deer drives, people probably don't even know that they hit, and then that deer runs off and dies because they walk down. Well, there's no blood, no hair, and then they walk back up and leave. When in reality, you hit that deer, maybe even center mass, and it runs off sick and dies somewhere.
Yeah.
And then for what? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Deer drives are not that fun either whenever you don't have a lot of deer. Like the reason that deer drives are
Yeah.
usually fun because you got a lot of deer running around, you're seeing a lot of deer. It's like if you're not seeing deer, you probably shouldn't be, trying to push them around.
Mm-hmm. Right.
But like those guys up in Wisconsin that do deer drives, it looks like a blast. Like there's deer running everywhere, and there's plenty of deer up there though. There's a lot of
Mm-hmm.
deer up there.
Yeah.
So
Don't get me wrong. I'm not sitting here being the guy that's like crying, like, oh my God, there's no deer at all. It's like
yeah.
there are deer, but I also know that we're on that fine line that if we start shooting a whole bunch or keep shooting a whole bunch, like we're going to get to that point.
Yeah. Yeah. That's something that you guys that do the deer drives in the mountains, like something I've never done. We never have done it around here. We never do it in the hills. So it's interesting to me. Just the strategy
Mm-hmm.
behind it. You'd probably learn a lot about deer by watching them run around in there.
That used to be how I did a lot of my scouting. I would never be the watcher. I'd always volunteer to drive, and I would always
Yeah.
pick the section that I wanted to walk through. You know what I mean? And I'd be looking for deer sign as I was going, laying pins on my map.
Yeah. Yeah. I was going to ask you before we get off here. I'm going to hold you over too long. I know you got to work today, but what? So you got a kind of a big following on Instagram. I mean, compared to most people,
If you want to call it that.
Yeah, right. How did you get into your powerlifting and stuff that you do? Because that's kind of what you were built your Instagram, I guess you want to call it. I don't know what to say, but your influence on the social media. What made you get into that sport?
I think I just run into the right people. Like I really didn't even know that, it's hard for me to say a lot of this stuff because I don't even really talk about it anymore. Like I feel like when I talk about it, I'm a bragger.
Well, you can
But
brag.
I guess I just didn't. No, I just guess I just didn't really know that I was any good or strong when I was younger, and I was just lifting stuff because I could lift it. And
Yeah.
then the right people noticed it, and they were like, "Hey, you should come train with us." So I started hanging out with a group of guys and really got into just the environment and the energy, and um, eventually started competing, and then realized, really wasn't a rocket ship away from some of the records that were set for like my weight class and stuff and federation. So I just started kind of working towards that. And then eventually I was within, earshot of breaking an all-time world record for the deadlift in my weight class. So I trained for that for about 3 years until I finally broke that.
So how does that work, man? Like, how does it like where you like competed in the Arnold or something, right? Like you went to the Arnold and did some stuff, and
Yeah, so that's like an invite only kind of deal. Like they just pick like the best lifters for that last year or two, and they invite them all into the same, like they call it the animal cage. They invite them all there to display an event. Basically, they have some of the best lifters around the country come and compete together.
huh? But you
So
guys
I
had
mean, really, just from
like weight classes, and I mean, how does it all work? Like, how would you get into it? And like, I guess what federation do you go through to do something like that?
well, there's a bunch of federations, and
Okay.
there's a lot of different stipulations too. Like RPS is a federation, Revolutionary Powerlifting Syndicate, USPA, USPL. There's a bunch of them. I couldn't even name all of them probably.
Yeah.
Um, but as far as like, if you want to compete into a sanctioned meet, you just have to look up these federations and see they have like an event calendar where you can go and see where the meet is going to be held, when, what the rules are, all that. And then basically, like, they're just like anything else. You have to sign up and you have to register for the meet, and you have to pay like a registration fee. So like if you wanted to compete for USPA, you'd have to buy a membership for like $50, and then you can compete from January to December in any USPA meet.
Okay.
Um, yeah, and then there's weight classes just like wrestling. I competed in the 308 weight class, so it's like I won't go through all of them, but there's like 198, 220, 242, 275, 308, and then anything over 308 pounds is super heavyweight. But I always competed at like right around anywhere from 295 to like 302 was where I sat at. So I just always competed in that 308-pound weight class.
You have a hard time meeting the weight requirements for tree stands and stuff almost.
Well, I'm glad that they put 300 pounds on it, because I know they can hold a lot more, but they say 300 to save themselves.
Yeah. Yeah. No, you're a giant dude because you're tall. I mean, you're obviously tall too. Um, it's funny because Huck was kind of enamored by you when he saw you. We were talking about that beforehand. He was,
Yeah.
I don't know if he was asking you how you got big, or you talking to him about eating steak or something. I can't remember what you guys
Mhm.
were chatting about, but it was pretty funny. No, that's cool, dude. Like, that world is interesting to me for some reason. Like, I grew up
Mhm.
um, weightlifting a lot, and then got into some of that stuff, like just following some people, and really wrestling is where I um, got I guess, my interest in it. But
Yeah. It just comes full circle. You know what I mean? I mean, that was my entire life for, 8, 10 years when I was a teen into my early 20s. I just lived and ate and breathed powerlifting. I didn't do anything but train and sleep. Didn't party on the weekends. When I was training, I slept in, and um,
yeah,
did pretty much just did whatever I wanted to do with the sport. You know what I mean? I had a pretty decent squat and a decent bench for my weight class, but my deadlift is what I was always really proficient in, and I set
mm,
out to break that record, and I broke that record that stood for like 12 years, and after that is, I don't know, I just didn't know where else to go with it. You know what I mean? And then there's a lot of politics involved too, just like anything else. Once you start getting so high into the sport, I went to like 2 meets after I broke that record, and then I started to run into refs that were giving me red lights on lifts for like stupid stuff, where it was like starting to turn into favoritism. And so as soon as like politics got involved, I'm like, nah, I'm done. I'm good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It just that takes the fun away from it. And I was always a hunter anyhow. I was like, I'm just gonna go back to focus on just working out and hunting.
I mean, the fitness industry is a gigantic industry. I mean, it's insane.
Yep.
Did you have sponsors? Like, how's all that stuff work whenever you're competing at that level? Is it like anything else, any other sporting, endeavor? Like, is there money to be made, that kind of stuff?
I never really made any money per se, other than like they did have a couple like meets where there was a cash prize if you won. I did a couple of those, nothing absurd, you know what I mean? I had a bunch of sponsors like nutrition companies and stuff that was always sending me whatever, protein, pre-workouts and all that stuff. And then I had some companies make me some custom belts to wear, some custom singlets. And then the biggest thing was I had a couple companies that would like pay for my hotel rooms, and then they would pay for my registration for the meets. And so really I didn't have anything in it. I was just gas getting there, and everything else was kind of paid for, which is nice, you know what I mean? But just like anything else, I mean, they support you and you're putting their name out there for it. So
yeah, sports like that always interest me because it's like, you're just like any other athlete that's an elite level. You got to put a lot of work and time into it. But the guys that play football or baseball or basketball or golf or whatever, that there's a lot of money in it, so you could afford to do it. But like I always wonder about like sports that aren't as known if they're a limitation on you, because you got to be like, okay, I can't just spend 12 hours a day doing this because I got to make a living.
Yeah. No, there are guys that I know in the powerlifting world that made a living out of it, but they didn't do it from just the actual lifts. They would make their own brand. Yeah, they would make their own brand of clothing, have a clothing line, apparel, and
social media.
A lot of what people are doing now is you can get like a nutrition company to make you like a special blend of protein powder or whatever, and it's basically a blank tub, and then you make your own nutrition brand, and then you put your label on it. Basically, I think they call it like white labeling.
Yeah. I mean, look at the Bomars. I mean, they started in the fitness industry and made their money doing that, and then pushed over to the hunting world too. So, but yeah, there is a lot of nutrition companies out there. Pretty interesting stuff. But, well, man, I've had you on here for an hour. I don't know what time you go into work, but it's probably not too much longer. Where can people? You started your YouTube channel now, right?
Yeah. Yep. We got one video out. My biggest setback with that right now is I have a cameraman, Tyler Wilbur. That's the biggest setback is we can't get together as much as we want to, even though he doesn't live that awful far from me. So he even did the editing on it, and I'm a little bit of a meathead on the editing side. So he's trying to help me get trained up on that so that I can, if I want to be out in the woods and I find something that's noteworthy, I can film it and try to edit it a little bit and upload it myself so that we can get some more consistent videos going. But we're going to get together here this summer, and we're going to do a summer scouting video, show some stuff where, maybe guys don't have time to get out in the postseason, but have some time in, June, July, show some stuff to be looking for, or what I look for if I'm out that time of year, that kind of thing. And then we're going to try to get some hunts, try to get a couple hunts on film here. And I am not all in on the camera during my own solo hunt, but I'm going to attempt to try to get something killed on video this year. But if it comes down to it, I'm a hunter first. So
yeah. So I'll leave your YouTube channel in the description, and then your Instagram too.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you want people to go look at, or is that doer?
That's pretty much it. Yeah, my Instagram is definitely the main, and then just started YouTube and Facebook. I really don't even get on it. It's just for whatever for my family to see. So
yeah. All right, man. Well, I appreciate getting on, and good luck this summer and this season, man.
Appreciate it, man. You too. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for watching, everybody. Bye.